Welcome to July's newsletter and a warm welcome to you. I've got my scarf on. It's quite cold down here in New Zealand as we come into our midwinter process. But wherever you are, whichever part of the world you're in, I hope that you're keeping well. And that is the key thing. So what has been happening for me during the month of June has been quite extraordinary. And sometimes I'm really amazed at how the universe works in terms of the macro level of lessons that we need to learn, which is my level, personal level, the micro level, and then the macro level, which is the global level. So the micro level is my level of personal experience in comparison to the global level of experience, and what that theme ultimately is as we move through the month. And I have to say, for me, it has been about loss of friends and acquaintances, both expected and unexpected. And I don't think there's no easy answer to grief. There's no easy way of circumventing how we're impacted by loss, how we feel about loss. But we just have to roll with the punches, let's say. We have to think about who that person was and how they sort of enhanced my life. And I think, with 3 people passing away over the last sort of 8 weeks, but 2 in the last 2 weeks, actually, 3 weeks, it is a time of self-reflection. I think that when someone leaves our friendships or our acquaintances, our circle of friendship and acquaintances, we're often really challenged with that loss. What does that mean for you? And what were our last words? Were we kind to that person? Should we have made more of an effort? Did we make enough effort in that person's life? Were we there for them? And, out of the 3 people who've passed away, 2 of them passed away quite unexpectedly. And I think, I suppose it's the shock of that loss, the shock of unexpected loss. Even though someone is ill and they're on a journey, we have an awareness of a life expectancy or a life foreshortened. But when we're confronted by a sudden death, nothing prepares you for how that makes you feel. And the most recent loss was of a man who, I would say hello to on a daily basis. Whenever I saw a quick wave, hello. And I was really quite shocked at his loss, having just spoken to him the day previously. And I was really upset about his passing, more because he was alone. And there was no one there for him. And I don't necessarily think many people would grieve for this person either. And that has brought great sadness. I think I just feel sad for them in reflection of his connections to his fellow human beings. But I'm so pleased I did take time to chat to him the day before he passed away, talking about, this, that, the other, the weather, and, his achy legs and his poor hips and all of that stuff. Just that smile and that giggle, knowing that at least he had that little bit of conversation or that little bit of society, that little bit of social interaction, but having been told by the authorities and, being met by, the local police department and what have you, and just being told about their passing, that, he passed away quite peacefully and not in pain. And that, I suppose, is, I'm going to say, cold comfort, some comfort. And so death has been an amazing time of reflection in June. We've all been really aware of what has been happening in America. And we're really aware of, pointless death or needless death, shocking death in some way, and that triggered that emotion in other people. People wanted to be part of that person's death, George Floyd's death. People want to be part of a movement to say this is not okay. People want to, and probably will be, reflecting on their own loved ones who have been passing away in that intervening time. And so what is life? What is mortality? What does that mean for you? And how do you cope with your grief process? Because that in itself, it can take you by surprise. And there is no shortcut through our grief process. It is a process that is a continuation. We have to really work through our emotional well-being. I know certainly with that chap who passed away, yes, I sort of had to work through that, just that sheer sense of sadness of his death and how he passed away. But then reflecting on who he was as a person, reflecting on what he brought to us, what he provided to us as a family, because we all knew this person. And having had them in my life, is my life greater or better for having them in my life? I think the other thing with grief, and again, it's been shown on that macro level, on that bigger scale, we're being shown that the loss of liberty through historic times, the grief of people who had no choice, who couldn't speak up, who weren't heard, who were utilized or brutalized in really severe ways. And so we can't change that past. And that's the thing about grief. When someone comes into your life and they pass through so quickly, we can't live with that sense of guilt or regret or recrimination, because we can't change it. We can't change that process. That process is locked in at their point of death. But we can shape our future. We can shape that way we connect to people and our attitudes towards people. Our societal attitudes will be changing globally of what is right and what is wrong. How do we treat ourselves as a species? Because we are really quite cruel as a species to each other. And so we can't change the past, but we can change our attitude towards our future. And then there's the grief of losing our liberty, the grief of being in lockdown and not seeing our friends, the grief of losing a job or losing a pet, the grief of life's changes where what we think is normal and it's now not normal. All of those emotional processes are a form of grief. All of those events evoke grief. And so we have to think about how we're going to manage that and then work our way towards the rebirth and renewal. I think in reflection of the three souls that have passed away, that I've been connected to in these recent weeks, is, I suppose, it's that sense of joy of having had them in my life, even for a fleeting moment, even for a short moment. And I think in reflection of who they were and what I got from them, each person brought something really different in my life. When I've been made redundant, each time I was made redundant, it's not that it got easier, it became more acceptable to be made redundant, but it was also about, well, what did that particular workplace offer to me? And I know in my last time when I was made redundant, I was like, yes, I so deserve my redundancy back. I'm so ready for a rebirth. My rebirth started really quite quickly. And the sense of loss was less acute to when I was first made redundant, which I thought it was devastating. My world was ending as I knew it. And I cried all day at the loss of my job. I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going, didn't know who I could become. As it was, I moved on to a far better post, and big things happened from there. So there's always that light at the end of the tunnel. There's always that rebirth, renewal, new beginnings. And as scary as they can be, they do matter, and they are important. They are important. Those new beginnings are really quite they're quite important, because you carry the tools from where you've been in the past and you apply them to where you're going in the future. I know for myself, as I reflect on each individual who has passed away, one was a real globetrotter, lived life to the max, never ceased to amaze me in their physical adventures. And I really admired that about them. The other person who passed away, they were a real mentor. I was always inspired by her perception. Everything you said, she had a really amazing perception of who you were as a person. And the last person that passed away, it was that sense that he was always there. He was just there. He was just there. That was it. I suppose he was just there. And now that he's not there, it's just like, oh, he's just not there anymore. And if that's a perception I have to deal with, then that's okay. One of the questions I used to get asked a lot when I was giving personal sessions was, well, how do you cope with grief, and is there a time frame, and all of those questions. And there is no time frame. Absolutely, there is no time frame. I lost my father at the age of 4, but I didn't grieve for him until I was 16. That's when the loss became really, really apparent to me. And it's not that I didn't know that he had passed away. Obviously, I knew he'd passed away. But on an emotional level, that I just didn't process his passing until I was 16. And then looking at a beautiful young woman who was taken 2 years ago now, over 2 years ago now, didn't have time to deal with her loss in the initial stages of her passing. I was dealing with lots of other things, mainly tied around how she passed away. But it wasn't until a year after she passed away I became really, really aware of talking about how much I missed her. And in digging through, I'll put this in my newsletter, in digging through some old files, I found a video call actually taken just a few days, recorded a few days just before she died. And I thought, oh, there she is. I'll just put that on. I'll just have a listen. And listening to her voice and seeing her smile, and it just brought up feelings of joy, not feelings of regret or pain or no tears, but just a sense of joy, the joy of knowing that, one, she is probably having a ball in the heavens above. I would hope she's having a ball in the heavens above. But two, that she was such a quiet inspiration. And it was always her smile, and it was always her laugh. That's what I would always take. That's what I took from her passing, was her amazing smile and beautiful giggle. And here, to listen to that again, it just brought back the joy that I would feel back then when she was with us in person. So I do think June has been quite confrontational, energetic wise. I've certainly had it right in my face in terms of the topic of death. Globally, we've had it fed to us on a daily dosage through the press and the internet and everything that's going on. And it's spurred people into action. It's spurred people into change. And that's the rebirth. And I think that's what you should really be looking towards is looking towards that rebirth, whether it is the passing of someone, a nearest and a dearest, or just a casual acquaintance, or if it's the ending of a job, or letting go of a pet, or losing a piece of jewelry, or whatever your grief process is, the renewal and the rebirth is always there, but you're going to apply the tools that you've been given through that experience. So it's, I don't mean to be heavy and downhearted, but it's, I do like to sort of let you guys know what's going on in my life. And it's one of the things that you all give feedback on. You'll go, wow, I love your integrity or your honesty. And so honestly, that has been my June. It's been dealing with the loss of some amazing people. So hopefully you guys have had a slightly better process. I know some of you will know the same people that I know who've passed over. So you too will be dealing with that sense of loss as well. Hopefully you're coping with it too, and you're doing it, in that beautiful, serene and calm and measured way. There is no timeline. It is what it is, and we go through it. So we're into July and we're into that midwinter here in New Zealand. We've been in New Zealand for 14 or 15 years now. 14 years. And we're becoming New Zealanders because the darkest night is over. And we're so excited because the nights are getting a little bit lighter. And that's exciting. When we first came to New Zealand, we said, what is everyone going on about? But now that we've been here 14 years, we're just like, yes, half an hour lighter at night time is lovely. And I'm coming from Aberdeen, where it gets dark at 3 o'clock and it doesn't get light till 9 o'clock. The winter nights are long, long, long nights because we're so high up close to the North Pole. So I find that quite funny, reflecting on our behaviour, Mike and I, and our behaviour as we're turning into our Scottish Kiwiness, and we're sort of pulling ourselves into that. And we have our live classes as usual, the online academy. A huge big welcome to everyone who's joined. Had lots of students joining over the last few months, and they're working their way through their courses. What I have done is I've uploaded onto each and every course, which is free to view, a little video clip from my days as life coach for CTV. So that's in all the different shows. So that was with the Good Living show with Megan Banks. It was with Canterbury Live at Style TV with Andrea Allen. So lots of little video clips that are found historically, just loaded them up. You'll see me talking about meeting your guides, talk about tarot reading or crystal ball or, personal development, work-life balance, all that stuff that I used to talk about when CTV was an entity here in Christchurch. So that's in addition to the online academy. So you don't need to purchase anything. You just pop along and you can pop in and have a look at all those CTV interviews. They're good fun. And again, that was lovely to reflect on that as well, and reflect on the beautiful souls that I did know, both before the quakes and after the quakes, of course, here in Christchurch. And also I've been working with a couple of students now online asking about the teacher training. And so that is a process. We now have the core course, which is the I Facilitate course, and it really gives you the professional tools that I believe you need to give an awesome experience to your students. So it's called I Facilitate. It gives you all the presentation tools, the hints and the tips, how to manage team dynamics, how to deal with different personality types within your courses. So even if you don't want to become a teacher within the academy, but you're already teaching, you might find that the I Facilitate is a wonderful course to give you maybe some new tools that you hadn't thought about. So there's that. And we have the Psychic Development Teacher course. It's now fully loaded and ready for purchase. And the Crystal Healing Teacher course is going live today. So very excited about that. And we'll have the Soul's Journey Teacher course will also be online by the end of July. And I've really given a lot of thought about the courses and maybe what people are looking at. It's interesting talking to people who want to inspire people, who want to jump into the role of being the inspirational teacher. And we have teachers with the Phoenix Light Foundation, both here in New Zealand and across in Australia. And everyone's just getting back into post-COVID mode now. But wherever you are, if you feel you would like tools, the teacher training courses are definitely something that will give you the tools that you need, give you the time and the space to become the expert in that particular product that you want to teach. And so I'm hoping that by the end of the year, all of the courses will be put on offer as teacher courses, because I know from my own experience that once it comes to one course, they then go to another and they want the other and they want the next, they go next. And that's how I've created this whole library of 16 courses. And I'm sure, I know a few of the teachers now have more than one product under their belt because they've ran one course and the students go, oh, I love that. Can we have the next course, the next course? So I will be working away in the background, creating the teaching components to each manual, and just keep an eye on the newsletter. There'll be notifications as the teacher courses become more available. So the I Facilitate is your foundation, and then you can decide what you want to become a teacher in, and there's plenty to choose from, or there will be plenty to choose from as we move through the year. And I suppose for me, there's always that huge thank you for your continued support. I know for some of you out there, not having a personal session has been a sense of loss. So we come back to the grieving process, and people email me on a daily basis or they text on a daily basis asking if I would do a session, or when am I coming back, or if I'm out of retirement. I think that's an awesome message to get. Are you out of retirement yet, Phyllis? But I will be sticking to not giving personal sessions. And I know it's a really difficult time out there. I really, really do appreciate that. But I just need the time. I need this time to invest in my beautiful Phoenix, which is my screensaver today. And I need time for all my hundreds of students that are in the academy. They need the products. They need new interactions from me with them. So I thank you for still being part of my life through the newsletter. I hope that the newsletter maybe gives you the tools to help you. But one, I think the most common thing people say is, wow, I'm not alone. Or it's great to see you're going through the same thing, Phyllis. It's another thing people will say. So I'm hoping that, although I'm not doing the personal sessions, that just by reading my blog in the newsletter, by listening to my little videos, that gives you some help or some support that maybe helps you think about the way forward or how to deal with what you're going through at this point in time. So I thank everyone for your understanding in regards to me not giving sessions. But believe you me, I'm not idle. I am definitely not idle. I've got a whole year's worth of work cut out for me in providing and creating the Phoenix Light Foundation, and supporting the teachers as they go through the different courses, but also supporting the new teachers as they come on. So there is a link in the little yellow box where I talk about the teacher training courses, there's a link to the Phoenix Light Foundation Academy there, and you can see the courses there. And we've made it really accessible in terms of payments. So there's little payment plans there as well that makes things a little bit more accessible for everyone. So until I see you in our August video, I'm going to have a little adventure. So I'm hoping to be really talking about some really good bits and pieces from our adventure. So I'm not going to give too much away, but I will be full tilt talking about my adventure in our August newsletter. So until that time, take care for now. Keep really warm, keep really cozy, stay safe, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time. Take care for now. Bye.